Hey guys! Dan here from the channel Evil Furbies, and we're actually here with another rhetorical video. Our first video was about the O-word same postulate, but the O-word same postulate is actually just a small, albeit important, part of the larger category of rhetorical theory. And it's actually part of one of three subsets, but we're going to get to that later. Rhetorical theory is mostly reactionary. You're reacting to something someone says in a way so as to win the conversation, to make them feel bad, to be nasty, to be mean. But we'll get to that all in due time. So I mentioned the fact that there were three subsets, and just before we start talking about them, I just want to say that the third subset, the O-word same subset, is actually still not quite established. It's on the very frontier of rhetorical theory. It's a sort of mystical subset, almost like Buddhism or Bootism. And so it's a very interesting and fascinating topic, but we're going to get to that last. Our first topic is the oldest and simplest version of rhetorical theory, and that is the lunge. The lunge is essentially a straightforward attack. So if you want to think about it like that, it's kind of an attack. And what you're doing is you're going on the offensive. You're coming at them. You're trying to hurt their feelings, say something mean. Sort of, basically, the aim is to just be nasty and to be a bully is what you want to be. So our first lunge is the polite lunge, and that's where you say something in a matter-of-fact, polite tone, which is actually an insult. So you say someone, let's say your friend or enemy or lover comes to you, and they say like, "Oh, hey man, what's up?" You might say, "Oh yeah, hey, oh shoot, actually, I just wanted to ask you, why is it that you always drink milk and are a disgusting dairy man? Just the cheesecake, the milk, it's really impressive to me that you can consume that much dairy and be that disgusting." So that would be, a lunge that you might see. That's the polite lunge. There, we got a little dairy. The next lunge is the progressive lunge. And what this lunge does is it goes from a compliment to you withdraw that compliment to a downright insult. So basically what you do is you get their hopes up and then you smash them down. So, for instance, you might say, again, your friend or enemy or lover might come up to you and say, "Yeah, hey man, how you doing?" And so you respond, "Yeah, I'm doing well. You are looking great today. Just beautiful today. It's really amazing." And they'd say, "Oh yeah, thanks." And you say, "Well, not that beautiful. Don't be. It's fine. Yeah, you know what? Let me just withdraw that. You look disgusting. You look terrible. I've never seen anyone look so bad, ever." So basically, what's happened is they've gone through this progression of mood. So they've gone, from happy to neutral to sad. So it's been sort of like "hey" to so just really tough on them to go to that morning. The final kind of lunge is a slightly more reactionary lunge, and that's going to actually be a good segue into our next subset, and that is the affirmative lunge. It's sort of an action that's taken in the affirmative, a sort of affirmative action, which is when someone says something, you just agree with them profusely, no matter what they're saying. And so this could be just a normal comment they're making, like you go to a concert or something, and they say, "Hey, I really love that concert." You say, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah." Or it could be a sort of second lunge. So you lunge the first time, you say, "You are just a dairy man with your dairy hands." And they say, "Hey, you're being a jerk. I wish you wouldn't say that." And you say, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Vietnam was a proxy war." So these are the three kinds of lunges. And speaking about reactionary methods actually brings us into our next subset, and that's the subset of recoveries. Basically, recoveries constitute a fallback plan. So what you have here is you've tried to get them, you've tried a lunge, we've tried a feint, which is our third subset, which we'll get to, and it hasn't worked they're well versed, they come at you with their own lunge, they have some sort of recovery, or they persist in fighting back, and it looks like you're screwed. So what you need is some sort of plan, something that you can say that if not actually winning, although there have been spectacular cases of arguments won with recovery, will at least buy you some time, level the playing field, not just let it be over. And the first recovery is the apologetic. And this recovery is essentially apologizing in, not even a sarcastic way, but sort of a way that shows that you clearly don't respect anything that either of you are saying, and that for you the conversation means nothing. So it might be something like, let's say, we go back to our first example, you say, oh, you are a dairyman just covered in cheese all the time. And they say, hey, you're really being a jerk. You might say, I'm sorry. Sort of in that tone, like, I'm sorry. You're not really sorry. But you're not saying like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're saying, oh, I'm sorry. So that's the apology. It's a very good, one of my personal favorites. Always can be used. Always buys you time. You should really, if you take anything from this, take away the apology. A very powerful method. Second only to something like O-word same. The second recovery is incoherent muttering. And basically what muttering does is you withdraw from the conversation, you take a break, you get to collect your thoughts, and you also get to say things, most of it will be incoherent, but you get to slip in a few things that they'll understand. So maybe they lunge at you. They do something like, oh, you're looking great today. Well, maybe not. Oh, actually, you're looking terrible. So you start muttering. You say something completely unrelated, like, this guy, he doesn't know anything about gardening. Doesn't even have a green thumb. He's never planted any petunias. Doesn't know anything about flowers or shrubs. Completely unrelated, but you can mutter. And other topics you might mutter on would be something like the sale of fish in a European fish market. You can mutter something about how they don't know anything about fish stockery and how they probably never ever hatched fish eggs anywhere in Europe. And just that's always a good option. Just pretend that you're a European fish seller and they're not. The third method is the I was talking about something else method. And this almost invariably gives you a way to recover, because if they point you out on a mistake you've made, if you're having an argument and you cite a fact that isn't true, if you screw up in some way where you're wrong, or let's say you mispronounce a word, you can dodge it, because they might say, like, dude, it's pronounced building, not big. You can say, oh, I was talking about something else. And, there's not really any way they can get around it, because you just always say you were talking about something else. They might say, no, I mean, I know what you're talking about. I'd be like, all right, yeah. So that'd be an example of the lunge and the recovery working in cahoots. And so you should really practice these recoveries. You can do it at home in front of the mirror, or, you could even do it in front of a bench, or in front of a trash can, or a gypsy caravan, or a witch's coven, or really in front of anything. You could do it in front of a bear factory, like a place where they make bears, grizzlies, black bears, brown. You know what I'm talking about, like a bear factory. So those are the kinds of recoveries. Let's see, just get a bear here. So now, in a second, as soon as I label this bear for you, bear, we're going to move into the third and most mystical, as I said, it's related to Buddhism, strange subset. And that subset is of feints. And feints are sort of nonsense. They're when you haven't actually won the conversation, but you manage to convince that your opponent that you have, by sort of completely withdrawing from the conversation. And so, for that reason, feints are all about timing. And feints are actually also divided into two subsets. And the first of those two subsets is the subset of sort of coherent feints, which even then are not that coherent, but they're real words at least. So O word same would be one of those. And the entire O word same family, O shard glass, etc., etc. But we've talked about that in the other video. So we're gonna just go on. The next type of feint is the Yeezy, named after rap musician Kanye West. Um, and basically, what this feint is it's you act as if you've had trouble understanding them or hearing them, and ask them to repeat themselves, and you keep on doing that until they get wind that you're making fun of them, and then you say "huh" in the way that Kanye West would. So, for example, you might say, "What was that? Sorry, pardon? Ha!" So you culminate in a a Kanye West ha, which sort of just throws them off. So those are the two, if you'll believe it, coherent feints. Now we're going to move on into the incoherent feints. And these feints are the most mystical of all. And in fact, well, they go back a long time. During the Spanish Inquisition in the century, the famous burger man, Ronald McDonald, here he is, was put before the Inquisition for heresy. And when he was asked about his burger making deeds by the judges, he actually paused, and then he said, "That." And this really took the judges by surprise, because they'd never seen anything like this. And in his name, this is named McDonald. And in fact, all charges were dropped in that case, and he lived out his days flipping burgers. So this is any kind of complete nonsense feint is a McDonald. So there are several different variants of this. There's something like, the high-pitched sort of bird call. There's, that's another really good one you can use. And these really work in any situation. You want them to be loud and strong. So, you might, let's look at a prospective conversation you have. You meet your friend or enemy or lover, and they say, "Hey, how you doing?" You say, "I'm doing well. Actually, I noticed that you're a dairyman with your dairy hands." They say, yeah. You say, "I'm sorry." They say, "Oh, word, Sam?" You say, "What was that? Sorry?" Ha! They say, "Ah," and you respond, and there what you have is a very strong, powerful, debating, rhetorical conversation between two masters. This has been Dan with Evil Furbies. We hope you've learned something about rhetorical theory. Till then, good night and good luck.